What is happening, everybody? Thank you. Welcome to episode 210 of the Michael Lab Show. Very grateful to have everybody here. I'm rocking a brand new shirt that I bought. I don't know if you can read it, but it's from Joe Biden. And I don't know if the money went to him directly. I'm not too sure. But it's a funny-ass shirt. I don't know if you guys have seen this clip of him talking. I guess he talks. He mumbles, maybe. Maybe mumbling is the best word to say for him. But he's out there making. It was like 8 months ago. I think it was maybe right when he was elected president or right before he was elected president. He gets up on stage and he's at this pool, right? He's at this pool, and I think he talks about kids. Yeah, he talks about his leg hair at this meeting. But he's up here talking at this little community pool where he used to be a lifeguard. And you can tell, like, there's a bunch of kids behind him, and they're all just kind of, like, looking around, like, what are we doing here? What's this old creepy white dude up here doing? Like, we just want to swim. Why do we have to get a pat down before we went to the pool today? Why are we, like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And Biden waddles on up there, and he sits there, and I don't know what he was supposed to talk about. I guess nobody really knows what he's supposed to talk about. His social security, his security, Secret Service probably didn't know what he was supposed to talk about. But that's what makes it exciting. You know, that's what's the cool thing about Trump and Biden. They both, every time, like with Trump, you didn't know what he was going to talk about because he wasn't going to talk about what he was supposed to talk about. And then Biden, on the other hand, you don't know what he's going to talk about because he forgets what he's supposed to be talking about. So he could just say anything at any time. But he gets up there and he just starts like rambling about his times of being a lifeguard. And if you haven't seen the video, you have to go watch it. But he's talking about this guy, like when he was a lifeguard, there was this guy named Corn Pop. And he starts it off by saying, he's like, back in my day, there used to be a guy named Corn Pop. Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he used to roll with some bad guys. And he just goes on for about 12 minutes. He's just talking about how he almost got choked out with a bike chain, how he used to like dip his razors to like cut people up, and like how he was like the only white guy in town, how like there was projects across the street. He just goes on this tangent just talking about his day back in the day when he used to like fight Corn Pop. And nobody knows who Corn Pop is. Anyways, I saw the video and I laughed very hard. It was really funny. So I went ahead and bought a shirt, and it just says Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he used to hang out and he used to roll with some bad guys. Is that what it says? Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys. So I went ahead and got his shirt. I thought it was hilarious because, you know, not everything is about being so damn serious all the time. Sometimes you just got to laugh a little bit. And even when it's your president, when they say some silly things, don't act like, oh, he's a huge whatever. I'm going to go ahead and get a Trump shirt too that says something hilarious. I want to get one where he calls that girl a horse face. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Where the guy like says something about like calling girl, like the reporter's like, hey, you said something about like calling girls ugly. He said, no, not, who did, what is it? Who did Trump call horseface? One of the funniest things in the world. Stormy Daniels. What is it? See if you guys, what if you guys can hear this? I'm gonna turn it on real quick. Once the video gets played. But he called this girl a horseface. It was so funny. Where is it? Is this it? Take his 2016 opponent, Carly Fiorina. Look at that face. Then candidate Trump commented, would anyone vote for that? I'm not going to spend a single cycle wondering what Donald Trump... That's hilarious. Would anybody vote for that? Oh, here we go. I think this is the one I'm talking about right here. This is the best one.
Yeah, I'm going to go after. Believe me, she would not be my first choice, that I can tell you.
And this, for a testy debate exchange.
You could see there was blood coming out of her eyes. blood coming out of her wherever.
Oh, that's intense. He said blood coming out or whatever. Can't say that, man. Anyways, I'm going to get a shirt that he says something that's hilarious. Dude, this is funny. If you look at like the news stories back when he was president, like right here today from 3 years ago from the Today Show says, friend speaks out on Stormy Daniels' alleged relationship with Donald Trump. Wild, dude. Wild. What a wild time, man. What a wild year, man. If you really look back at it, like it's been a crazy ride. But let's get into a few things. I want to get into a few things, not like nothing crazy. But the first thing I want to talk about is what's going on with this Delta variant. Now here's my quick take on it. We should not be penalized because people are choosing not to get the vaccine. Now, am I upset with people who don't get the vaccine? No, I'm not upset with people who don't get the vaccine. I think it's your choice. I think if you want to get the vaccine, you should get the vaccine. I don't think you should be forced to get the vaccine. I don't think you should be forced to really do anything. I don't think you should be forced to inject things into your body. But with that being said, at the same token, there are going to be a numerous amount of people who will continue to die from coronavirus, especially if you have not been vaccinated. And you're seeing that happen right now. And this is concerning because you see counties like Los Angeles County who they're going back to lockdown. Like they're forcing people to wear a mask inside again. And it's so funny. I think what you're seeing right now is you're seeing a lot of hypocrisy. LA County, saying how safe the vaccine is, everyone should get the vaccine. And then once cases start going up, even if you've been vaccinated, you got to put a mask back on. You're seeing a lot of people straddle each side of the aisle, and they're trying to play the game very fairly. And I think you're seeing like the LA County sheriff even comes out and says, no, we're not. He's like, I'm not enforcing this. He says, he literally said, we're under budgeted. We don't have enough money already to pay for what we need to do our job. And on top of that, what they're saying is not backed by science. And I totally agree with him. You're creating a very dangerous situation when 2 months ago, you're telling everybody to get the vaccine. If you get the vaccine, you're going to be able to go back to your normal lives, and we can go on, and the world can open up again. Okay, 60-70% of people do that. Let's see. Los Angeles COVID vaccine. COVID vaccine. California has 63% of their people are vaccinated. So 63% of people follow the rule, right? That's good. That's a decent amount. You probably want 80-85%, but still 63% of people follow the rule. But now assuming 63% are still within LA County, say LA County is 63%. So now 63% of Los Angeles County has to pay for the price because of 36.7% of people who didn't follow the rule. But you're saying that if you've been vaccinated, you're protected from COVID, but you still have to wear a mask. Like you're creating this, you're losing all, like this past year has been a very hard time for the government because people have lost a lot of trust in the government. Even people who have been big government supporters. I've never been the biggest government supporter. I understand that they're people, and I know people are flawed, and I know when people have power, they do things to retain power that may not be the most ethical solution. But what you're doing right now is you're having people who trust the government, who trust medicine, go like, wait, why do I have to wear a mask again? I've been vaccinated. So the vaccines don't work? It's going to be fascinating. I don't know. I honestly, here's my prediction for the Delta variant. I really think it's going to come and go. I think a lot of people who didn't get the vaccine are going to get COVID, but I think they're going to build up a resistance to COVID after that. And I think you're going to see a huge spike between now and maybe September. But I think you're going to see it fade into the winter because the vaccines do work and they do protect you from COVID. I think 98.5% of people who are currently hospitalized did not get the vaccine. And I also think what you're going to see a lot of is people who got sick from COVID because they didn't get the vaccine. I think you're going to see, so like 37, let's just say 35% of people have not been vaccinated. I think of that 35%, you're probably going to see about 10 to 15% of people get vaccinated after they get COVID because they've been sick. So I don't think it's going to be something that holds on too long. I also don't think, I know that if let's say like Governor Hogan or let's say anybody and any state tries to go back into a lockdown, you're going to have a serious issue on your hands because people do not want to go into a lockdown, especially if they've been following the rules and not the rules, but especially if they've been following the guidelines by getting vaccinated. You're going to have a serious issue on your hands if the government says, all right, we're going back into lockdown. Oh, wait. And then they're going to be like, oh, we're going into lockdown for 40% of people who didn't get vaccinated. That doesn't seem fair at all. I just don't see how they can have the leverage to actually get that through. And I also don't see how the economy can withstand another lockdown. Like, here's the situation. If you put people back in a lockdown, you say people can't go to work, and you start naming businesses that aren't essential, that are essential. Well, this is round 2, right? So you're going to put everyone on unemployment again, which means you're going to have to push more money through the economy again to pay people. You're probably going to have to pass another stimulus package if you put everyone in a lockdown again. If you pass another stimulus package, that's another $3 to $4 trillion on top of the $3 trillion package that they want to pass for the infrastructure deal, which I think is probably closer to $3.8 to $4 trillion, which is, this money's never going to be paid for again. We're at the point now with the Fed where we just print money, not expecting you to pay it back. So like the fundamentals of paying back money doesn't really exist anymore. We just kind of create money now to give out to people, assuming that it goes back into the economy. But assuming that it doesn't go back into the economy all at once, because if it goes back into the economy all at once, you get a situation like we're getting now where inflation is like 5.4%. But you just can't, we can't go back into lockdown because we cannot pass another stimulus package like that. It's just not going to work. There's not enough money. There's just not enough money, and we're already facing a crisis right now with inflation. I just don't see how that's a plausible idea. I think it gets to a point where you just have to keep things open. You cannot shut things back down. That would not be a good decision. That would not be a good decision. People will lose trust with the government, and people won't just lose trust with the government. They're not going to listen to the government when something really serious happens. That's my biggest concern. Out of everything that's happened with the COVID lockdowns, no matter if you thought they were too intense or not intense enough, if you have opinions by people who don't get vaccinated, who do get vaccinated, those who don't wear a mask or wear a mask, I think the most dangerous thing that's come out of all this is the lack of trust of the government. You know, people don't look for them for answers anymore, which is fine. I don't think you should look for them answers, but you should at least recognize that they are the government and that they do have smart people working for them. But I think that's gone, dude. I think that's gone at this point. I think that's a dangerous situation. I don't think that's something that we expected. And it goes back to when did COVID become so politicized? And a lot of it has to do with Donald Trump as the president. A lot of it has to do with him making very racial slurs, like calling it Kung flu, like saying things that the Chinese flu, like saying things that were very offensive. That really diverted, that put a division through people. It's going to be fascinating going into the holidays. You cannot lock things back down again. You know, maybe COVID becomes a seasonal thing where we have to wear a mask every winter. But even that, I don't think that's a good idea. You know, I don't know. I think here's what I think. I think if you choose not to get the vaccine, the repercussions are something you have to deal with and nobody else should have to deal with. And the only issue with that is that people do have to deal with it. The people working in the hospitals do have to put up with it. So who speaks for them? You know, just because somebody who doesn't want to get the vaccine, it may not affect me, but it may affect somebody who works in the hospital, who has to put in extra time at the hospital, who has to deal with more dying patients, who has to deal with that added stress. A part of me is like, everyone should get the vaccine, but a part of me is like, no, I still believe that you have the choice to decide what you want to decide. And I think that's what makes this country so great. And honestly, here's another thing that people don't really want to speak about too much. If you look at the United States of America, vaccination, for all the shit that people say that we're crazy, we're this, we're that, we are 56.7% vaccinated in this country. If you go to the United Kingdom, they have 70%, which is significantly higher, but not too much higher. Like, I don't think we're as rebellious as everyone says we are, you know? But even like, if you look at the UK, like 70% is one shot dose. That means 30% is upticking for all the COVID. And if you look at the United Kingdom, COVID. Like their cases are on the rise. Like they had yesterday, they had 47,600 cases, right? Like their cases are on the rise, and their vaccinations keep going up. It's almost like it comes to the point where I think it's just going to become a daily thing, the same way that a yearly thing, the same way that the flu is, and the same way that people die of the flu. I think the same thing's going to happen with COVID. I don't know. The deaths are like not going up at all, right? Like the deaths in COVID, they're pretty much flatlined. I mean, there's like now like 30, 40, 26, 50, 63, 40. And like during May, there was like 10 a day. But like still, it's not crazy. It's not crazy numbers, but I don't know. I think there comes to a point where you just kind of got to open things up and let it fully open. Here's one thing that I don't see a lot of people talking about, but this exchange is going down between China and the U.S. And I know this is something that's always been a thing, and I remember hearing things 10 years ago when people were speculating that China was going to be a world power or going to take the world power position for the United States, but also dangerous. Also dangerous too. And this came out from the New York Times. The U.S. accuses China of Microsoft hacking. Microsoft Exchange email hack was caused by China. The United States says U.S. blames China for hacks, opening new front in cyber offensive. U.S. allies accuse China of hacking Microsoft and condoning other cyber attacks. U.S. says China behind Microsoft Exchange hack, working with criminal gangs. This is a world that is bound to become the largest platform of criminal activity. And it's a world that I think is already existing, and I think it's a world that we are so far behind the 8 ball on. China, Russia, Iran, the United States. These are the 4 countries that are going to continue to hack each other and be hacked for the next hundreds of years. And we're going to enter a world where the idea of using guns to shoot other and to take over other countries is nullified. And the way that you're going to gain power over each other is going to be through hacking and being hacked. And it's going to be an exciting next 9 years. This decade is going to be the decade of the Cold War between the United States and China. And I just don't see another way around it. And it's scary. It's scary when like you can think that a company like Microsoft that, is a $1 trillion company, a $2 trillion company, market cap of $2 trillion. They're on every single corporate computer in the world. They're on every single Apple laptop when you open it up. They're so powerful. They have all the documents. The U.S. government uses their platform for document presentations and, all these things, PowerPoint, Excel, like they are in many ways a monopoly. When you have a company like this that should have, with $2 trillion market cap, they should have a security network that is close to impossible to hack. But when you have it being hacked by China and presumably also attempted to be hacked by Iran and Russia, I'm just guessing. I'm sure they have tried to attack it. You're creating a world where danger is right around the corner 24/7. And what's more dangerous than attacks on humans? It's attacks on security. It's attacks on culture and society. And with the ability to hack a huge platform like Microsoft, you can change everything that you want in a country. And it's terrifying. And it's a world that we're going to have to deal with. It's a world that we're going to have to accept. Because the other thing that people fail to remember is these companies like Facebook and Twitter and Google, who own YouTube and the Google search engine, these platforms have all your information. And these platforms are just as secure, if not maybe a little bit more secure or less secure than platforms like Microsoft. Who you are as a person is on these platforms, is in Apple, is in Google, is in Facebook, is in Twitter. And China has proved again and again that they can hack. companies like Microsoft. There's nothing stopping them. There is, but there isn't, to being able to hack us as individuals. And who are you as a person when all your information is online and China can hack it? They can do whatever they want with you, because you are a human, you are genetics, you are nerves, you are cells. But what you are in the world of 2021 is you're an accumulation of data points. On my wrist, I have a data information right here on my wrist. You are a collection of just information, right? And China has shown that they could take your information and do whatever the hell they want to do with it. Facebook has already done it. They take our information, they sell it to whoever they want. Nike, anybody, Apple, they sell it to whoever they want to sell it to. It's already happened. We're already accustomed to having our self stolen by huge companies. All it takes is China to get in there and take our information. It's not hard. It's not going to be hard for them. And I think this is a world that we are setting ourselves up for. The idea of using weapons to take people down is slowly going away. It's becoming more of a software thing. So I don't know. It's going to be fascinating. Biden said that China is at fault here. He also threatened Russia too, that if you do any more of this hacking stuff, there will be consequences. But who knows? Who knows how these consequences are going to go? I don't know, man. I don't know. It's gonna be a fascinating decade. So that's that. Let's see what else is going on in the news. What else is happening? The U.S. is stepping up efforts to save Afghan. Oh, I think I had something I really wanted to talk about here. Towson University. Nope, that's not it. Oh, I have been. I think I've applied for 13 jobs the past week, and I think I've gotten 3 no's, and I think I got 3 no's and 1 pre-interview, which I'm excited for, which should be starting next Monday. It's a pre-interview. I can't say anything else besides that. I don't think I'm even supposed to say that, unfortunately. So 3 no's, 4 no's now. 1 yes, but a delayed yes. A yes that's they're gonna wait closer to when I graduate in November. And then I got like a pre-interview, which I'm really excited for. That's gonna be next Monday. Just a 20-minute sit-down phone call, which is really nice. But I keep on applying. I actually applied for a position at Towson University because, like I've said in the last episode, like that's kind of Taylor and our plan. Our plan is to finish the year up here in the Annapolis area, but then closer we get to New Year's, moving into February, mid to late February at the latest. We want to be relocated in the Baltimore area, specifically Towson area, and we both want to be working around there, and we both kind of just want to create our own independence and have our own little life away from everybody. We want to travel. A lot of things we want to do. We want to have our own space, right? Which is like about time. You know, I'm going to be 25 here in 2 months. Like it's time. It's time to have my own space, and we're excited for that. Her and I are both very excited for that. It's a growing opportunity. It's a moment that we both need. It's a moment that we've both been waiting for. And honestly, the thing that's been holding us back the most is me in school, and I'm finally finishing up. Like, I was talking to her yesterday about this. Like, I expect myself to do well in everything, right? Job, I expect myself to get a good job. I expect myself to excel at that job. I expect myself to make good money. I expect myself to anything that's outside of college. I expect myself to do well at. If I focus enough and I just put in a little bit of time, a little bit of effort, I will do well. The one thing that I've never expected from myself, and this sounds so crazy because I think this is one thing that people expect from themselves, but I have never expected from myself at all. My chair is all jacked up. I've never expected myself 1 second. There we go. The one thing I never expected myself to do was to graduate. And it sounds crazy, but there was never a moment growing up as a child where I was like, I'm going to go to the school and I'm going to graduate from this school. It never existed in my head. And I don't know why. I think a lot of it had to do with my upbringing. College was never talked about. Like the way that people talk about college at the dinner table when they're middle school and high school, elementary school, I never did that. I never talked about universities. I never talked about where I wanted to go. I never talked about the discipline I wanted to learn. It was just graduating high school. Like I knew from an early age I was never going to graduate college. And honestly, up until the beginning of COVID, and this sounds crazy, and this kind of sounds, what's the word? Not dishonest, but kind of distasteful, because a lot of people suffered like an absurd amount during COVID. Understandably so, losing jobs, losing family members, losing income, losing the house, losing the apartment. But for me, COVID is the reason why I was able to get through school. I don't think I would have ever completed 4 semesters like I did, or I think maybe more, 4 or 5 semesters of college. I don't think I would have ever been able to do that if it wasn't for COVID. I mean, I would have had to, but it would have been very, very difficult. I don't think I would have been able to save the money like I did during COVID. I mean, COVID created a nest for me that I don't think was going to get created anytime soon. COVID in a lot of ways was the best thing that has ever happened to me. And because of COVID, I can honestly say that I will be graduating in December with a degree. And that is the most, I don't want to say it's the biggest accomplishment I've ever had, but I definitely do think it's going to be the greatest. It's going to be the most surprising thing I've ever done. It's going to be the thing that I've expected the least. I never thought I would be able to do it. So the fact that I will be graduating is, it's huge and it's very exciting. It's something I'm looking forward to. So that's that. The one final thing I want to talk about real quick before I go ahead and shut this podcast down, just a shorter one, just 30 minutes today. I got to fill out this job situation thing for school or for work for one of my internships, which I've never done before, and I don't really know exactly what I'm supposed to do, so I guess I should just read it. I also don't know how to really spell too well, so I need my girlfriend to spell for me. I'm not the best speller around, if you couldn't tell. I can barely speak. But this has supposed to happen a long time ago, but the stock market is crashing right now. And to be perfectly honest, I kind of thought that this was going to happen a little bit earlier. And when I woke up on Monday, I was kind of expecting the market to be down a decent amount. Let me show you what it's down right now. So as of this, it's Monday, the 19th at 10:30 a.m. And I have here that the market is down. The S&P is down a total 1.89%. The QQQ is down 1.28%. And the Dow Jones is down 2.2%. So over 700 points it's down, which I kind of expected. Like I'm not shocked by that at all. I think there's been a huge bull market, and I think the reason why it's a huge bull market is simply just because wow, that's cool. I love fire. It's simply because the economy is reopening. But there's been so much money going in the economy that inflation's finally going up, and I think people are starting to look at the stocks and like, holy crap, they're overvalued, definitely. Jim Cramer was saying how a lot of stocks started going down 2 or 3 months ago. A lot of the big ones like Nvidia, they were the biggest stock of 2020. They started going down a month ago, about 2 to 3 weeks ago, and then they're on the rise again. So he's saying it's not going to be the biggest pullback, but it's Jim Cramer. What does he really know? But like the FANG stocks, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Amazon, and Google are finally going down because they kind of just been on a bull run, like especially Apple. Apple's been going off lately. So I think it's just going to be a quick little correction. I think it might be 2 to 3 weeks of a correction. There's going to be a few days where it goes up, but I think for the majority, it's going to be going down. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. I think that's kind of been I think it's kind of been unsettling how good the market has been. You know, at times the market's going to have to reset itself. And I think more than ever, the market is resetting itself. And I think it's going to set itself up to reset around September. And then I think it's going to be a bull run all through the holidays. I really do. I think these holidays are going to be crazy. Like, I don't know. With all this money people have, I think a lot of people have been spending money, but at the same time, a lot of people have most likely been saving money for the holidays. And you know, people, they don't even save money for the holidays. They just put it on credit. So I really do think it's going to be a crazy winter. I think the stock market's going to hit all-time highs in the winter, December, January, February. And I do think there's going to be an uptick in COVID, and I don't think they're going to lock it down. I don't think they can lock it down. I think they know that they can't lock it down. There's only so much trust that people can give out to the government, and they've already been testing it a little bit. And by shutting everything back down, especially when the majority of people have been vaccinated, you're playing with fire. You're playing with a dangerous situation that people do not want to have to deal with. And you're going to lose a lot of trust in a lot of people for when another pandemic does happen, because a pandemic will happen. Seems like pandemics happen every 100 years, 1919, 2019, like it seems like it's, or 1920 into 2020. And the other thing that I wanted to mention real quick is everyone talks about the roaring 20s, right? 1920 to 1929. Well, you got to remember, after the pandemic in 1918 to 1920, the market crashed. We had a Great Depression right around that time, like the early 20s. And then from like 22 to 2000 or 19, from 1921, 1922, there was a bull run. The market went crazy until about 1928 to 29. And then 1935 hit, and it was a huge depression. But there's also minor depression to start things off. So you got to remember, just because we're kind of looking like that time, just because the economy looks like it's about to be on fire, which it already is on fire, hence inflation through the roof, there's going to be a rocky road. And how rocky is that road going to be? That's the question. But there is going to be a rocky road before we do hit a huge growth spurt in the economy. But I think expecting that and understanding that that's going to happen is the thing that we need to know. And it's going to be okay. I think personally, I know for me, my strategy is to continue to invest, have a nice reserve of money put away, but the money is going to continue to lose value as inflation goes up. I think assets right now are where you want to be. I really do. I think just as much as the bull market is going to happen, the bear market is going to be over just like that before you even know it. And I do think crypto is going to have a huge winter. I do. I haven't sold any of my crypto. A lot of people probably have sold the crypto. I'm down 45% on Bitcoin. I'm down, I think, like 5% on Dogecoin. Finally, I've just broke negative. It's under 17 cents. But I do still I still think Bitcoin can end up between 80 to 100K by the end of the year. I think once it starts getting colder outside, people are going to start putting their money into a reserve asset like Bitcoin. But I'm also not an expert, so don't take any information from me. Also, don't listen to anything I say about the coronavirus. I don't know anything about it. With that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shut this podcast down. Episode 210 is over. I have to go fill out this work assignment thing. I'm losing my voice slowly but surely. One thing I do want to mention real quick is I have been really reducing my cardio down a lot at the gym, and I feel so strong at the gym. Like, this is very exciting. I think I might continue to just eliminate cardio for a while, maybe do 10 to 20 minutes on the stairs, maybe 2, 3, 4 times a week, probably 3 to 5 times a week. But dude, I feel so strong again. Like, I was squatting only 275 for sets of 3, but it felt so good again. I was pushing seated shoulder presses for 60 pounds. I just felt good again lifting weights, which was really nice because lately I've just been feeling weak at the joints and the elbows and whatnot. But anyway, guys, that's it. Guys, episode 210 is in the book. Like, comment, subscribe, follow on all your platforms. And I will catch everybody in episode 211 of the Michael Lab Show. Peace out. See ya. Thank you so much for listening. Donate to the podcast if you want to. Have a good day. Also, check out the last vlog. It was uploaded Monday. Go ahead, check it out. I got a brand new head. Thank you guys. Peace out.